the dark, someplace blackened where you can't find me. I've been running, finding out.
Hey everyone, I'm Ralph Nervous.
Jay Antonio.
And I'm Marco.
And you're watching
Raising Awareness
Now.
If you want to contact us, email raisingawarenessnow@gmail.com. Tonight we're discussing the serious issue of alcoholism. We may ask ourselves, are we addicts or alcoholics? How do we answer that question? First, I want to state that many people view alcoholism as a weakness or a moral issue. However, research has shown the true nature of addiction. It affects all types of people, men, women, young and old. Alcoholics and addicts lose the ability to control their chemical abuse because of brain chemistry changes. Alcoholics create chaos not only in their own lives, but in the lives of their family and their friends.
For many of us, alcoholism, it's a personal story. We may suffer from it, or we may have a family member, such as an aunt or uncle or mother or father that suffers from it. Tonight, it's important to know that alcoholism or chemical dependency, it can be treated. However, it is vital to understand that it is also a progressive and potentially fatal disease. It is a complex process, but it can be treated. It is vital and critical for family and friends to understand this disease as well. So as you listen tonight, listen for answers to these questions. Why does my spouse or partner put drinking and drugging ahead of my family's needs? If he or she loved me, wouldn't they quit? Tonight, we have Mark from Colton talking about his experiences from alcohol. But first, before we get to that interview, let's go ahead and get to a deeper understanding of what addiction is.
According to Alan Ty, a certified chemical dependency counselor with a master's degree in counseling and an author of the book Stop the Chaos, there are 3 common characteristics of addiction: loss of control, denial, and preoccupation. First, loss of control means that we have lost the ability to control our chemical use. Second, denial can prove to be a huge problem in recognizing our addiction and getting the help we need. Why? Because we tend to minimize or deny the effect our dependency has on others or ourselves. And last but not least, there's a preoccupation that alcoholics have with using. There's a time spent in anticipating, planning, and protecting their alcohol abuse.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention that not every alcoholic is a falling down drunk. There are functional alcoholics out there that hold a job. They may be well liked by other employees or even in the community. They might not have any legal problems, and they may only drink at a certain time. We could be considered a functional alcoholic, and finding ourselves in that type of situation, it's a slippery slope. And in time, we might find ourselves facing the consequences of alcohol abuse when the progression of the illness gets worse and it ultimately brings us down. There are also many alcoholics that abstain from alcohol and then they end up binge drinking and find themselves out of control. So there really is no stereotypical alcoholic. We have to strive to be honest with ourselves and look within ourselves. Really, it comes down to having that self-awareness and being truly honest with ourselves to come to understand if we have a problem with alcohol abuse. So, kind of going into the interview with you, Mark, when did this urge to escape reality with alcohol begin with you?
I mean, I would say in my mid-20s, I would overly drink, I would overly party. I guess thinking that I was still younger, thinking I was still in my early 20s, 21, 22, 23 years old, I could drink till 4 in the morning, wake up at 9, function and go to work, and as time progressed, my tolerance went down, but I would never admit to myself that my tolerance was down. So I would, being addicted to the partying and just being social with everyone, I would continue to drink as if I was, as I had just turned 21, and it was a lot of mistakes made, but it was a bad situation after that.
As a musician, we're in the same scene at the same time. The urge to drink, the feeling to drink because you weren't in the mood or you're tired, what we've learned is that alcohol isn't a depressant. Mm-hmm. We've learned that it's a stimulant that actually wakes you up. Mm-hmm. It makes you want to party. Mm-hmm. So that is the scene, man.
It is. I mean, especially, I've DJed for about 14 years, and the perception of a DJ, or even being a rock group, or, whether you're a singer or whatever you're doing, that perception is partying, You go to a bar, a club, a venue, people are there to have fun, and in that sense, being 21 and over, there's going to be alcohol there. So me DJing, say at a club, perception is drinking, dancing, girls, guys, whatever that whole scene is, So you just feel, I felt that I had to be part of that, in order for everyone else to have a good time, I had to have a good time and feel what they're feeling.
You have to actually join the party.
Exactly.
To control the party.
So you feel like you had to create this persona.
Exactly. I felt like, I wanted to be the life of the party. That was the way I always was, I mean, when I was young, I went on tour with bands, and, one of the guys I went on tour with, he was the same way, and I guess I kind of kept that mentality. He was always the life of the party. He was always the one getting kicked out of places, getting overly out of control, and I always felt like, and people would like that. People liked that about him. That's, what his perception was, and people liked it, and I guess I felt like that. I wanted to be like that, and it's, it wasn't a good thing to do, but I mean, that's how I felt.
I think in society we see the glorification of alcohol. I mean, we can look at a show which is brilliantly written, like Californication, and David Duchovny's character, who is a writer and he's in Hollywood, but he's a drunk. He's doing drugs and everything else, and people look at that and they're like, man, this is life. This is, the Hollywood life. And when you get in situations like Ralph with his music, and then you with, being a DJ, being out there in Las Vegas, being on tour, people are like, that party life, it's the life to have.
How many shots do you get bought in a night? Even if you don't want to drink, people are giving it to you.
And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. My motto since I was 21 was always never turn down a shot. I never.
It's rude.
It is rude. It is. And that was my own. I mean, anywhere we'd go, it was like if somebody bought you a shot, it was rude. You never turn it down. A beer you turn down, but a shot is, it's something that I mean, it was just my motto. I never turn one down. And you'd have friends that they don't see it as a negative way, but in the same sense it is when they see you already at that limit, where you're already drunk, but they still continue to buy you more, and then me having the way I am, not turn down a shot, it's like, it doesn't help each other. I would overdo it. I've been kicked out of bars, I've been kicked out of clubs. I mean, I've been, I've gotten in some trouble before, never by the law or anything like that, but, it's just, with relationships, not coming home, talking to people I probably shouldn't be talking to, I've done a lot of that stuff, and it was all due to alcohol. I would have not done it had I been sober.
Yeah, you can't, I don't think there's anyone who drinks or alcohol that says they made the best decision of their life. Drinking a beer or taking some shots, and the money aspect, the worry aspect, the damage it does to the body is unbelievable when people black out.
Yeah. When you think about it, Mark, at 21, 20, I mean, what was the trigger really when you were that young and you started drinking? What really started you on the road to? Was it the lifestyle, or was there something that happened significantly in your life?
I mean, I started touring with bands when I was 18. Mm-hmm. I was actually even younger. For local bands out here, I would roadie for them, and they were all older. And I wouldn't really drink, but I would see the party atmosphere, mm-hmm. and everyone looked like they were having a good time, and that's what I wanted to do. So when it became to the point where I was able to start doing that, it just, I overly did it at the time, you know what I mean? And I would watch everyone else just get away with it, and I'd get away with it sometimes, and sometimes I'd get in trouble, mm-hmm. I remember, we were on tour, and we had to be at bus call at 7 in the morning, and we were an hour and a half late, and I got fined $200 for being late. Mm-hmm. you know, and they almost left without us, and then we would have had to find our own way to the next city.
So you saw the consequences of alcoholism starting to creep in.
Yeah,
a little
exactly,
bit in your life.
exactly, and that was back then, you know.
Well, I'll tell you, back then for me it was growing up with a social family and a lot of cousins, a lot of uncles, a lot of barbecues. It was social.
Mm-hmm.
There would always be beer, and everyone would smile. With family, my family wasn't it wasn't a party, so everyone was cool. Everyone, so I didn't know any different that having a beer was, you know. And then my dad was jamming all the time, you know. So you're always around alcohol. And before I knew it, like I said, I never seen alcohol as that creature that could take over your life. I saw it as people enjoying themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a socially acceptable thing. And none of us really see, when we're younger, kind of the ugly head that it rears when maybe you're falling down or maybe you start messing up in a relationship. As when we're younger, it's that whole party atmosphere that you're talking about. But as we get older, we start to see it creep its ugly head.
In a sense, yes and no. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You know, my dad, he had a bad. I wouldn't say. I mean, you could consider it an addiction, but he just he was not the same person when he was drunk. And I'm sure some people say the same about me, you know, or all of us in general. You know, we're not the same person when we're drunk. But my dad definitely couldn't handle hard alcohol. You know, and maybe that's for most of us too. But, you know, I remember having friends come over one night, and he had made some friends, and I think I was like 12, 11 years old, and I just remember we're in the room playing video games and stuff, and then I heard the door close, and then his friends had left. So I figured, you know, maybe he fell asleep on the couch, and then come to find out, I go in the kitchen to get something to drink, and he passed out on the floor. You know, and it's just like the people, you know, he surrounded himself with took advantage of, you know, my dad had a nice house, he had money, you know. And he would buy, you know, all the alcohol, but they wouldn't help him, you know, hey, let's at least help him with the couch, you know what I mean? So I seen that as like, wow, dude, that, you know what I mean, that's irresponsible, you know, and I always told myself, I don't want to be like that, you know, I don't want to be like that, but sometimes, I'm not going to lie, I feel like I am that person, you know, and it's, especially when you wake up the next morning, you're like, damn, what did I just do last night?
I call it the alarm of regret. It's nothing funny, but it's like nothing wakes you up, no sound, but it's just some.
Yes,
what did I do?
Yeah, you have that feeling built in, like, oh my god, you see flashes of what happened, and then you're just like, shit, what did I do?
The alarm of regret, and then like, you know, all the what did I do? We're talking about the party. How many songs do you play in the night that glorify alcohol?
Exactly, partying, alcohol, sex, drugs, you know, degrading women half the time, you know, it's not, you know, there's really no positivity to any of that. I'm not gonna lie, you know, there's not really any positivity towards it. It's just, you know, we enjoy that though. That's what people enjoy. People enjoy being bad, you know, and doing things that they don't want to do, or shouldn't do. I'm sorry, not want to do, but shouldn't do.
They enjoy being bad.
You can't lie. You know you do.
But it's like called desire, and it's like you get out there, you want to escape your job. So on Friday nights, Saturday nights, I know it's the biggest gig nights for anybody, and it's because they want to get away. And then there's those people that on Sundays, they're like, I'm gonna like if they're working out, I'm gonna give it one more round. I'm gonna do a few more sets. You know, forget the whole weekend period.
Yeah, a few more hits. You know, let's take a few more hits of the booze, of the bottle. Yeah, when you started to kind of realize that there was an issue going on, if you kind of peek inside yourself, what do you think is kind of one of the biggest lies that you told yourself about your alcohol use?
That I could quit. You know, I mean, that I want to quit. You know, because deep down you want to, only for that split moment where you realize that you did something terrible, or maybe not even terrible, you just don't know what you did the night before, and you're like, dude, I will never drink again. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, and then it's who you surround yourself with too. You know, at that point, you know, that is the biggest lie, because, you know, do you really want to quit? You know, I mean, you're gonna quit whether you want to or not. You know, like cigarettes, like weed, marijuana, any other drugs you're doing. You know, you can stop anytime you want. But the question is, do you want to? You see, the problem is people say that they want to quit when really they should just not let the alcohol, as my mom tells me all the time, not to let the alcohol control you, but you control the alcohol. You control on how much you drink. You control on, if you start feeling buzzed, just stop drinking. You know, don't
drink a lot of water or whatever,
or just stop altogether.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because or leave where you're at. You know, if you have to leave, leave. You know, because if there's people that you're surrounding yourself with that are still drinking, you guess what you're going to do? You're going to keep drinking.
And I think one of the things that is mentioned in Alcoholics Anonymous is coming to an understanding of the powerlessness that you actually have in regards to alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
As well. You know, and so that's kind of one of the questions that is asked by a lot of family members. They see what you're going through or what we're going through, and they ask, well, you know, if this person loves me, why don't they just quit? Why?
No,
What
yeah.
would you say?
why do alcoholics put alcohol before their families?
You know, I don't really have an answer to that question. You know, if, you know, I mean, God forbid I become that person, you know, but, you know, if my son were to ever say, you know what, I want you to stop drinking, I would. There'd be no questions asked. I wouldn't. I would stop. I would. You know, if he asked me, dude, I want you to stop DJing. I want you to stop doing this for anything for my kid. I'd stop. You know what I mean? Well, I used to smoke a pack and a half a day. You know, and then one day my mom was like, dude, you know, can you quit smoking? And I just threw the pack of cigarettes away. You know, and then it took me, I'm not going to lie, I quit for about 3.5 years, and then I became a social smoker. You know, when in Vegas, you know, you're inside a casino, I have a cigarette here and there. After a couple of drinks, I have a cigarette here and there, but never waking up, never having a pack in my pocket or a lighter in my pocket, you know. And that's where I feel that I have control over things like that, you know. And I just need to, I needed to figure out how to gain control over alcohol just the same way, you know.
It's a habit. I think it's to drink or not to drink. It's not like the worst thing's going to happen every time you drink, you know. It's like you're just going to, you know, catch a little buzz and or, you know, it's like no serious consequences have come yet, I think, to drink or not to drink, you know. It's not really, it's like really. You're absolutely right. I mean, how many times have we gone out and had a good time, do karaoke, you know, we have fun, and nothing's happened, nothing bad has happened. How many, there's more times like that than there is bad times, but it's those bad times that make you realize, like, should I quit forever? It's habit. It's habit too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, when you wake up in prison with a hangover, you know, and
eventually that's going to make you quit completely, you know?
Yeah, well,
but you don't want it to get to that point.
Yeah, but it actually doesn't. I mean, there's people out there that commit second, third, fourth. I mean, I think when you even, you know, to be honest, I've had a DUI in the past, and I've committed that act again of going out, of drinking and driving, knowing the consequences of it. In fact, when I went through my DUI classes, they tell you, you know, 60, 70% of you are going to be right back here again, going through these classes again. And really, to me, that shows how powerful alcohol can be in your life. That no matter what, no matter the consequences, it will still have power over you. And you'll still commit acts that put in danger other people. And I think that comes down to the point where you start to realize, okay, I have a problem, and you start identifying how much control it actually does have over your life.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talked about in our last interview with Amy from Utah was preoccupation, denial, loss of control. So
a lot of people, I'm guessing, was going to Facebook who's down to drink before they get out of work. You know what I'm saying? Then you kind of have to set up who's going to buy these beers, how much money you have, who you need to hang out with, who has money, who has beers. You're looking, you know what I'm saying? That's called preoccupation, when you're trying to plan how you're going to get it, even if you don't have the money.
Yeah, that's a preoccupation. You're planning for your alcohol use.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that point, loss of control, where you're drinking, and you were talking earlier about how your mom mentions, you got that buzz, stop. But there's that point where you have that buzz, and there is no stop. It's keep going.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like an on and off switch. It's either you turn it on and you just continue to go full out, or it's off. You know what I mean? That and most of the time, for most people, especially people who are younger, that off switch never turns on.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to pump your brakes. You gotta be able to pump your brakes, but a lot of people just be like, just ride it out.
No, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, when you're, it all has to do with the scene you're in, because if you're at home by yourself, or you know what I mean, with a couple friends, most of the time you don't really overdo it. But when you go out, it's the lifestyle, because, you get there. Let's say you get there at 6 o'clock in the afternoon to a bar. You're drinking. All of a sudden, your friends come at 10. They're completely sober. That's 4 hours in between what your friends got there. But guess what? You want to hang out with your friends too. They didn't realize that you were there since 6, so they're gonna continue drinking as if they were there from 6. You know what I mean? And it increases. It's just being around that people. You're not gonna stop. Even though knowing you were there at 6 o'clock, you're not gonna stop. Until you get blacked out.
Like I said, there's some people that could go out there and still be in the scene, and there's some people, like we talked about Amy from Utah, shout out, that she had to step away from that because, not everyone's strong enough to moderate. Mm-hmm. I'm an all encouragement of the moderation instead of being that stigma. Mm-hmm. I want to encourage people to learn how to have self-control rather than to avoid it like it's a plague.
And I think that kind of goes into the other issue is denial. The denial of our use and our abuse. The ability to moderate is something that is kind of like a gift in a way. And for a lot of us, there is no moderation. The moderation is stopping altogether.
Yeah, that's the case for
some people. I mean, it should be. Sometimes I ask myself, should I just stop completely? And then I want to be able to control it though. I don't want to say that I can't control myself. Mm-hmm. That's my test to myself. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to say, you know what, dude, I could have a couple beers, go out, and then go home. Mm-hmm. That's just the way I am. I guess maybe it's an ego thing, but it's. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sit there and say I had to quit because I couldn't control myself. I want to be able to control myself, and as everyone should. You should be able to control yourself. Yeah. You should be able to control yourself. Whatever drug of choice it is, you know what I mean? Whether it be alcohol, whatever, you know what I mean? Anyone should be able to control themselves. I haven't smoked weed in probably over a year, maybe once or twice before that, and then 3 years before that. Mm-hmm. So, and I used to, you gotta understand who I used to tour with, and that whole scene, that's all it was about, smoking weed. Mm-hmm. And from high school on until about 2010, I used to smoke every day, and then one day I just stopped, mm-hmm. and I didn't want it. And people around me smoke weed and stuff like that. They offer me, and I say no, because it's the control, mm-hmm. and I don't like to do it anymore. I don't, it's.
Yeah, I believe everyone has to stop for their own reason. It doesn't have to be something spiritual. It doesn't have to be something tragic. It just be like, really, why do I want this now? Yeah. It could be definitely that for all these people.
And I think really that's where self-awareness comes in. The awareness of realizing that I can no longer moderate this, or this is something that's controlling me, and now I have to stop. Kind of like in your situation with weed. Mm-hmm. You started to realize, okay, this is too much for me. I don't want to do this. Get cross-faded and then just end up falling down or something. Exactly.
It wasn't a fun feeling being so sluggish that you didn't want to do nothing, So I just kind of I was just kind of over it. I was like, this isn't fun to me. Like, mm-hmm. People out there enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong. Hey, you know what? It's, hey, some people need it, and I'm not downing anything like that, but at the same time, it's like, for me, it just wasn't, it had its toll. You know what I mean? To where I was just like, I was over it.
And these are all matters of awareness, and that's why we're here today talking about raising awareness about this issue of alcoholism.
Yeah.
Because it's something that people need to understand, and for years they, have AA, they have programs, they have interventions, they have all sorts of things that kind of process to help you get over the abuse of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the other way, which is coming to a knowledge of it within yourself and allowing yourself to realize this is a problem and this is a problem that I need to get over. Whether it's moderation or whether it's completely stopping. But it definitely is an important issue to talk about.
Well, briefly on that, addiction is addiction. Alcoholism is just one form.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there was drugs, weed, or there's TV, there's food, sex. Whatever the addiction is, it's because we're trying to escape what we're really all about. I know. So this, once again, the self-awareness thing is, look at yourself. Question your own self. Step outside of your, just deal with what you got going on a little bit. And I'm sure a lot of these, these side effects is going to go away. When you build confidence and strength in yourself, these things are going to go away, man. Definitely. Doesn't matter what it is. If you think like you're better because you're eating all the time and throwing up, then drinking, you're wrong.
Yeah.
There's ways that it's all over the rainbow. The ways that we try to escape or harm ourselves, or happy with ourselves or our position in life, or whatever we're gonna do, man. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, look at yourself and stare at that person and say, "Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you want to be? Are you happy? Yeah. And what are you gonna do to fix that?"
Definitely. And that's why it's important to raise awareness now within yourself, but also out to the community. We thank you for tuning in today, for watching Raising Awareness Now on Alcohol. Thank you, Marco, for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
No, of course, man. Again, like he said, just find yourself. Know what your addiction is, and see what you can do to help. And if you have to ask friends, family, that's who's gonna be there for you.
Yeah.
And I mean real friends, not people who are gonna lead you to do, your addiction even more. Mm-hmm.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's that old saying, bad association spoils useful habits.
We're raising awareness now. You can Gmail us here. We're not experts, but we're always going to refer you to some place we know our personal experience that might help you if you want to go that route.
Mm-hmm. Once again, you're watching Raising Awareness Now. Real life, real people, real issues. I'm Jay Antonio.
Rob Nervous.
And I'm Marco, DJ Noise.
Have a great day and live with passion.
I'm somewhere dark, someplace blackened where you can't find me. I've been running, fighting now, hiding, always bull riding. Ain't no one besides me.